Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live vidIQ session. Today is TUBETALK Live, which is a mix between a podcast, a live stream, fireside chat with the vidIQ crew. Each time we do this, we're going to pick out one topic, a burning question or something that's going on, and we're going to discuss it. And then we're going to go to everybody in the chat, say hello to some people, and then basically take your question. But today I am joined with the vidIQ crew, and I have got resident YouTube creator Rob Wilson. Hello, Mr. Rob Wilson.
Hello, whether you are watching or listening to this. Added bonus for people who are watching today, I'm wearing my Santa hat as I continue to carry on the Christmas theme. So podcast listeners, if you do want to subscribe to the channel, make sure to do that as well.
And then you'll see Rob in his Christmas glory. Well, in his hat, anyway. We've also got superhero, as I like to call him, Mr. Gaming Master, Mr. Dan Carlson. Hello, Mr. Dan.
Hello. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here, listeners and YouTube viewers alike.
Okay, our intros are getting so good. This is unbelievable.
We're nailing this.
Nailing this. And then we have Mr. Alexi. Now, Alexi is our channel auditor specialist, someone who eats and sleeps data, and he's joining us because we've got a very good topic today. Alexi, welcome to the stream.
Hi everyone. My intro will be very short because I haven't practiced, but hi.
Well, we're going to have you more on this, so get your lines down, man. All right, everybody. So we're going to do this. Today, we are talking about what YouTube creators should be focusing on when it comes to your analytics. I mean, we all know YouTube Studio gives us so much value, so much information. So does the vidIQ tools. Push a button, you get all this glorious information and allowing you to really focus on what's important. If you remember the old days of Classic, it had lots of bits of information all over the place. Studio is doing such a better job, so good. Things are really coming together, but yet there's just so much to really focus on. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to tell you about 5 different tools that we like to focus on when it comes to the analytics. We all got different channels. We all help different creators with different industries. So this is going to apply to you, whether you're a gaming channel, a fishing channel, wrestling, cubing. I don't know what else we've audited recently, but all of those channels, everything is going to help because everybody needs to focus on these tools. So I guess, Rob, well, let's start with you since you run our big channel, the vidIQ channel. What gets you super excited when it's time to go look at the analytics? What's the one thing? Where do you start that is really exciting for you?
Well, just before we go into that, you got me all nostalgic there about the Classic Studio. And if you remember, there was a 2-year transition period from the old studio to a new studio. And like just a question to everybody right now, do you even remember what the Classic Studio looked like, and do you miss it? Because I think we're like 3 to 6 months into the new studio now, and I can barely remember anything about it. Funny little story, actually. Before the Classic Studio went away, I did take a screenshot of all of the Classic Studio analytics, and I've got it in a video. And at some point I may release it. So that's a little bit of another live stream bonus, I guess. But to go back to the question.
Well, before you do that, remember, okay. Rob, you've opened up the store. We're going to walk down this. Remember the big fuss that we've had creators really upset that Classic is going away and a new studio is going to be terrible. How are you finding? Was it worth the crying and tears, or do you find Studio to be that much more intuitive?
So I would say that YouTube was very, very intelligent in the way they transitioned from one to the other. In that they gave us years to get used to the new studio, and now the new studio is in place. I think it's utterly fantastic, given how many new features have introduced in the last 3 or 4 months. I think users are getting a lot more useful data and how to use it. So yeah, I'm very happy now with the new studio. I can't really think of anything I really miss. Maybe the old way the real-time analytics was displayed was slightly better, but beyond that, I mean, if Dan, Alexi, if you can remember anything, do chime in.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, do you remember? Do you like the new studio? Do you miss the old one? Is there anything you would want to go back to?
I've just been, I don't miss the old one. I've been kind of waiting for them to update things. They very recently fixed captions, so that captions kind of have that new studio feel and they work properly. I was getting really annoyed during the transition there about everything I click. It's like, oh, we're going to take you back to the old studio for that. And that was driving me nuts because I thought the new one looked a lot nicer. I vaguely remembered the old one and how it looked. It was just antiquated. It was time for a change. And what made the transition super painful, and I understand why they had to do it this way, was just every time you click something for a while there, it would just keep bringing you back. And that drove me bananas.
So no tears for you of the old classics. Alexei, for you?
For me, it's similar to Rob. I mean, I don't remember how the old studio looked anymore. So yeah, I don't miss it.
All right. Well, there we go. We'd love to hear from you guys as well. Rob,
Shall I answer the question now, later on?
maybe you can actually stick on point for a change. Let's try that.
So I'm going to try and avoid giving the obvious answer here of a specific analytic in the YouTube studio that we traditionally look at. I mean, obviously, we're going to go into that in detail very soon. But in terms of like audience retention, click-through rate, and so on, what I seem to be always transfixed with is views per hour. Whether that be the views per hour on my channel as a whole, the views per hour on a particular video because it's just been launched and I want to check the velocity seems to be in line with how I expect it, and the views per hour of other videos on YouTube, which maybe are in a similar space to me, and if they're doing really well, is it something I can capitalize on? And small plug, vidIQ does make that a lot easier to check views per hour in the real-time stats bar and the most viewed tool and that type of thing. And it's really vidIQ that introduced me to those views per hour analytics. So I'd say that's the thing that I look at. I mean, yes, it is also in the YouTube studio, I must stress, in the real-time section, which is, if you're watching the live stream now, you can see it on screen, where this video, well, Dan's clicked off somewhere else, but I don't know why. I'm always drawn to that first, just when I'm on YouTube. But obviously, when I'm looking at more detailed analytics, then you're going to click-through rate, real-time retention, and so on.
All right, well, let's explore that a little bit further, since it is something that I think is super important, something that, Alexei, you brought up, looking at your real-time views for 60 minutes and 48 hours. Why do you want to do that, and where do you do that?
Yeah, so for me, real-time views is important because I want to see what video on my channel is performing really, really well right now, maybe in the past hour, in the past 2 days. And then if I see there's a huge spike in views for this specific video, typically people probably watch till the end or closely till the end. So I like to put end cards if I didn't do that before. And I like to funnel those people who are already watching my video in masses and funnel them towards another video that maybe is underperforming on my channel, but I think deserves more views, for example, right? And this way I'm building these views funnels, so to speak, to funnel viewers from one video to the next. I'm increasing their watch time session as well, which is another whole different story, right? But this is how I like to leverage the real-time analytics or real-time view statistics.
Okay, let's unpack that a little bit more, so that not everybody kind of is able to do that or does this at the moment. So, Alexei, correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing you saying is that you look at your real-time views, and then you see that a certain video is really driving a lot of views currently. You're saying you would go into that video and then go and update a card or an end screen to maybe something that isn't getting as many views as you wanted to do. The idea behind it, thinking that somebody's currently watching this video, well, if they're going to see the card, maybe they'll watch the next video. Maybe they're going to watch the one that you're pointing them to. Is that what I'm hearing you saying?
Exactly, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, so good little strategy there. Good little pro tip for everybody listening and watching this. See what's working. What's working right now on your channel? What's getting you views? What's your audience excited about now? And see if you can leverage that to take them to another video. I like to do the same thing, but I also like to stay on topic. So if I've got a certain video talking about how to get more subscribers, I maybe will have the link that I take people to is something, how to get more subscribers in 2021, or new tips to get new subscribers, something that's on the same topic. Because people are watching this, they probably want more information on this topic. If I took them to something completely different, like how to create a playlist, it kind of doesn't gel. So stick on topic, use your real-time analytics, understand what people are watching, and drive them to another video. Cool little tip there. Rob, Dan, anything else?
I've got my
to
hand
jump
up
in?
now. I think this is
Yeah.
if I raise my hand, I can point. I think what Alexi made me realize when he was explaining real-time views is that real-time views offers you the opportunity to look at what your channel is doing right now, and it's low-hanging fruit. It's something where you have an opportunity to adjust the views or the audience, the direction of where your content is being watched right now. Whereas click-through rate, retention, these are all long-term goals that you may be aiming to improve. Like the intro may be poor or really good on a certain video, but you can't change that today. You affect and change that in the videos that you make over the next few days and weeks. So I think that's why views per hour and real-time views is a real insight into how you can make an immediate change onto something. I mean, it's not the best example here, but let's just say that the real-time analytics here for the last 60 minutes, and it's showing us as a spike. Now, we know what that is today because this live stream has gone live. But let's say we've not published a video for 72 hours, and all of a sudden we see that spike. We'd look at what videos doing that, and then we'd say, how could we leverage the value of that video perhaps into the rest of our content? So that's a real good way of showing how you might use real-time analytics.
Dad, anything you want to jump in here with?
I've been using this quite a bit. As you guys know, I had a short that blew up there for a minute, and I found myself keeping this particular page that listeners can't see right now up, which is it's the overview of all of your real-time stats. So you have the 48 hours, the 60 minutes, and then every video broken down individually. And I just watched the waves of views, and it after looking at the 48 hours, it was, you know, during the day it peaked here, and at night it went down as you would expect, and it was just really, you know, it is really just interesting to watch, if not valuable. So I find myself just kind of keeping this on sometimes and just watching it.
Nice. One more kind of tip that I like to do as well. If I see that a video is currently getting views, I know that the audience is currently interested in this. I would not only update the end screen and a card, but I would also go to the comment section and then pin a comment with a link to that video I want to drive people to. Again, the logic behind it, thinking as a viewer, I'm interested in this topic. And if I can make it easy for people to find more content on my channel, just keep people on my channel. More session time, more watch time, lots of love from YouTube. Those are the ways to really understand your audience. It's a good kind of almost a magnifying glass to say, hey, what's going on right now? Not as my channel as a whole, not 60 days later, but right this minute, what's going on? Where can I leverage this to get some more juices, some more out of the system? So cool thing, real-time views, find it in your analytics, or if you use the vidIQ tool, we've got the real-time stats bar, and that just gives you an idea to say, hey, something is spiking. Go and investigate and see what's going on there. Before we move on to real-time stuff, guys, anything else that we can jump in here with? Going once, going twice, sold. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at the new thing that YouTube is currently rolling out, and that is the retention graph. Now, we know that retention is super important. And for those who don't know what retention is, essentially it's your latest video, and then maybe you can fire this up on the screen. So for those who are watching on the live, they'll be able to see it. If you're listening on the podcast, obviously go and do this on your own channel and you'll see what I'm talking about. You basically go into Studio, you find one of your videos, and then you click on your retention. And here you'll see a graph. And that graph typically starts off high and kind of dips down. That's just the nature of the beast. And essentially what it's doing, it's telling you, this is the people that are watching that particular video. Where did they leave? Did they leave at the beginning? Did they leave at the middle? Did they leave at the end? That's super important because you could have the most amazing video, but if people are not staying beyond your intro, beyond your hook, well, the rest of the video is almost pointless. So YouTube has introduced some new features into the analytics. Rob, do you want to take us through what those new things are?
So there are, I think, I've heard 4 bubbles that they try and show you. I can see 3 on screen, but I think there's another one as well. It always, I think, tries to represent your intro. I think typically you'll lose 30 to 40% of your audience in the first 30 seconds. That is in the case for our channel. But I think also when you, again, apologies to the listeners, but when you mouse over certain sections, so Dan, if you mouse over the information section on the graph, it'll tell you like in a little blurb, like if it gives you the percentage of views that's still watching after 30 seconds and whether that's typical or under average or how it compares to the rest of your videos. So that's always useful as a starting point. And then it tries to go into the video in a bit more detail, which we've never seen before, and looking at sections where there was a stretch of time here, maybe for a minute, where viewers were really engaged and they stayed on topic with you. You didn't lose any viewers at all. And then other bits where there's a dip. So it might be like you changed topic or like you were on a graphic for too long and too many people dropped out at certain areas. So YouTube is trying to guide you a little bit more in your content. I'm still not sure how useful this stuff is, because when I look at those bits, I'm kind of confused as to why it's telling me there, why there's a bit of a dip, but maybe because I'm too protective of my own content and I need to pay more attention to the data. But like the typical example here as well, at the end, I try not to say goodbye, thanks for watching in the last 20 seconds, but I still think that when the little animation, you can see there's a drop off there, like you have 10% of viewers in the last 20 seconds. So they are, it could be that they're dropping off to watch
your next video
recommended in the end cards. It would be useful if YouTube told us that as well, like how many people transition from one video to the next. And so, yeah, YouTube, can you do that for us, please, as well?
Yeah, I think the whole beauty of Studio is that they're dedicating all these resources now to just making these things a lot better. Whereas in the past, all you had was a graph and you had to analyze that yourself. So we got really good at understanding our audience. We got really good at understanding when people are leaving and then go and analyze that and see why. Why did there so many people drop at this stage? Was I just waffling on? Was I unclear? Did I use too many sound effects? Whatever it may be, to give me tips to be able to make my next video better. One of the big things we see time and time again, especially with new creators, is that you've got this long, beautiful shot, drone shots and animations and your logo spinning. And that goes on for 10, 15, 20 seconds. And people are just not interested in that. So either they're skipping over that or they're saying, bugger this, I'm going to go find another video. And they're leaving. When you see that dip, and that dip corresponds to something like that wonderful animation that you spend time creating, bad news, cut it out, make it shorter, and then people will stay on your video longer. Alexi, why is it important for us to have more and more people watching for longer and longer on each video? Why are we even bothering with this?
I mean, there are certain benchmarks, I would say, you have to hit with a video for it to go viral, or for it to go and get a ton of views, at least in your niche, right? And so, I mean, that's why it's important. I don't really want to open this whole can of worms and start the whole discussion, like how much % do you have to have at the end of the video for it to go viral? How much do you have to have after the first 30 seconds? But there are certain things, like you can notice certain patterns. And again, since some of our viewers don't know, I am a channel auditor and I get to see analytics from many, many channels, very big channels, very small channels, and there is clearly a pattern behind the numbers, right? So this is part of the coaching sessions that we have, where we're going to try to focus on those metrics and try to get the audience retention as close to those numbers as possible. Because once you get the retention in order, once you get it fixed, so to speak, I mean, the only thing that's stopping you next is your click-through rate, but we'll talk about that later.
All right. And Dan, your retention, what do you look for when you create your videos? Do you go back and look at retentions on previous videos? Does it help you improve your content?
Yeah. You know, what's interesting is that I've actually started making shorter videos for a couple of reasons. One being retention. I know that a shorter video means I'm going to get a higher retention inherently, because I've also tried to do a lot better with my intros, try to get right into the action, all that fun stuff. But I know that does affect my watch time, and that's a whole different can of worms. However, now that my videos have a much better retention rate, I'm finding myself having a much easier time getting recommended. So that's been really nice. I will say that for gaming channels, a lot of I'm sure if you watch any gaming videos out there, you've seen this, where you find a video, it seems like it's going to be useful, it's a tutorial, it's something you want to watch, and the person you click on, like Leron said earlier, has this intro that just like, hey, today I'm going to show you this. If you're lucky, they say that, and then a 10-second thing they obviously bought on Fiverr or something that they're proud of that has awesome music and motion graphics and all this stuff flying in, and you're like, okay, I get your name. Yeah, it's your name on the screen spinning. When's the tutorial, and you have to wonder, is the tutorial even going to be valuable at this point? Click, I'm moving on. Just going back to the retention graph, like I try and tell people, I do want to dive into this a little bit. I try and tell people to look at this thing and pretend you're not you. Pretend you're a viewer for a minute. Put yourself in your viewer's shoes. Go to see more when you're looking at your retention graph, and it opens up to a much bigger area. And what's cool about this is you can actually take the timeline and just scrub along down here. So you can see a spot where it dips a little bit. You're like, what's going on over here? And you can click on it, and now you can see on the screen the video, the part of the video where it dips was something with this graphic that's on the screen right now. Did people turn away, or did they decide to skip ahead? Because you notice it spikes a little bit too. It comes back up. So this is a really, especially if your video is really spiky, if you're looking and the retention graph is just going nuts, I've always tried to encourage people to take a look at this and be objective. If your average retention is low, if it's in like the 20s and 30s, and you're like, what's going on here? It's good to be very objective and try and pick out the points in your video where maybe you lost people.
I've got a couple of theories on this, Dan, because like you're showing a couple of like slight spikes. I need to check this, but I'm wondering if those are where the video chapters are.
I can, if you give me a minute, I can pull up my channel. I'll show you something really interesting, because I've been doing these top 5 videos and I have crazy spikes because of where the chapters are.
Well, just before you do it, first of all, remind people that you can click on the audience retention, you see where it says type, and switch it to relative audience retention, because sometimes as we, what does 48% actually mean? And it looks as if in this example, actually 42% isn't too bad. It's above average for half of the video, and then about average. I was actually watching Mr. Beast's presentation from VidSummit in 2019. Just this week, and I don't know if this is for all of his videos, but I was surprised to see actually how low his audience retention was, in the sense that it was 50%. But as Alexis said, you can't just take a number and apply it to all types of channels and so on and so forth. The other thing I just want to mention as well, Dan, quickly, is if you close this screen and then we go to channel analytics rather than just an individual video, people would also want to check the I think it's the engagement tab, and then scroll down. They want to check this key moments section where it shows you the last 10 videos and how the audience retention is on them for the first 30 seconds. Unfortunately, right now, YouTube is mixing live streams and video on demand, which means that you get some really stupid numbers on some of these. Like, for some reason, the TUBETALK podcasts get terrible numbers right at the beginning, so maybe we need to look at that. But at the same time, the channel audits have 90% audience retention after their first 30 seconds. So I don't know, we need to maybe look at that. But yeah, video on demand ones, you're probably looking at similar numbers, but there's always a bit of interesting variation that you can look at there and maybe improve. But Dan, show us your amazing stats.
Oh, before Dan, you still can't leave, unfortunately. This is, by the way, again, that particular screen that we were just watching now for your channel. I always like to go through it, and yeah, as Rob said, unfortunately, it doesn't mix live with real videos in inverted commas. But what I like to do on my channel, I don't have any live, so to me it all makes sense. And I simply click the intro option, and I go through each one of those videos at that 30-second mark and say, okay, why did people stay here longer than they did in the previous one? To me, if you don't nail your intro, if you don't grab people's attention right at the beginning, well, then the rest of the video is pointless. So if you can do one thing and do one thing well, is really understand your hook, understand the introduction, really grab their attention, tell them what we're going to be talking about, and then get into it. If you don't stick around from that, the rest is just pointless. And in fact, Rob, you brought up Mr. Beast from VidSummit 2019. I'm going to bring up Mr. Beast 2020, where he did live channel audits with Daryl Eves at VidSummit. And he got really irritated because a lot of the channels that he was watching had this animations and this graphic. And he says, why? I'm not there for that. I'm there for you. I know your name. You've told me your name at the beginning. You told me your name during your intro. You then got a lower third, which tells me your name again. Like, I got it. Get on with it. And if you look at all of Mr. Beast's video, he right at the beginning, he grabs you, high beats, lots of momentum, lots of energy, and he tells you, today I'm going to give away $1 million to 3 lucky people. And then he goes into it, as opposed to then as a montage of Mr. Beast giving away stuff for the last 10 years. Get into it quickly. Focus on that hook. Focus on that 30 seconds. Now, Dan, I hope I've given you enough time to fire up your channel whilst I've been talking. Yes, no, yes, yeah. There we go.
Now, this is a short video, but I still use chapters because it's top 5 mods. So I want people to be able to click around and see which one is which. So that's all the chapters are. And you'll notice people did just that. Even with a 2-minute and 45-second video, nuts, crazy spikes.
Nice. So are we saying that chapters are a good thing, or are we saying chapters are?
I know I'm
hurting us
words there.
What does that actually tell us? Yeah, a good thing or a bad thing?
To me, if I'm watching these, I
think Alexi wants to let a smack down on that question.
I mean,
I just wanted to add real quick before you get into that. I feel like as someone who watches these videos myself, I actually go back to these a lot. So I appreciate the chapters when they're there, so I can go, what was that mod again? And that's why I do it. But Alexi, please.
I think we have to remember that chapters, when people are basically skipping and clicking back and forth, this is what some of the industry people call real engagement. People are literally clicking on your video, on this bar, etc. Right? So it's actually a good metric. Now, we don't know, we can't tell for sure how impactful it is, because I mean there are thousands of data points the algorithm looks at, but this is one of those data points. People are engaging with your video, like physically, right? What can be better than this, right? So I would say keep the chapters.
I'm glad you said that, because it confirms a suspicion I've had about these, where people have been asking since these chapters came up, is this a safe thing to do? Because people are clicking around my video and therefore they're watching it less, because by the end of it, they've skipped around. But I said, if YouTube added this feature, they probably want you to use it. I don't think you're going to be punished for it. And I'm just glad you've said that.
And these additional benefits. So the benefit of, firstly, you're earning your audience's trust. So if it's a long 10-minute video and you're talking about maybe 5 tips on how to do something, some people might know tip number 1, 4, and 3, and they might just want to go to that one tip. But the fact is that you might have shorter overall watch time, but you've earned a viewer's trust. And I think building a community is so much more important than trying to focus on that one element, because you'll notice the same people who come back to your comments time and time again. So I'm all for chapters. And the second reason is because of SEO. Remember that YouTube and Google work very closely together. Things in your descriptions are actually metadata that gets pulled out into the Google search. So if you name your chapters correctly, and I've tested this on a bunch of my videos on my channel, if you name your chapters correctly with search in mind, right, those are more likely going to come up as a little video snippet on YouTube search, and then you're going to get that external traffic that's coming back from Google search. So chapters are not just for YouTube. They're a much bigger play here.
Dan, do you want to switch to me for a second just to emphasize that point? Let's see if this is going to work. If I bring it up to the camera, sorry again, podcast listeners, but so this is go on, get it to focus on the phone. It's not going to focus. Anyway, you can see on the phone there that there is a video, and there is stuff below it. Those are all of the video chapters from one of my videos on how to delete a YouTube video. So that's all like the real estate that I'm taking up on Google search. So which video do you think people are going to click on? And it's likely going to be mine because there's just so much space. I wish the camera would focus, but unfortunately it's not.
Well, the podcast audience are now getting a one-up on the live stream audience.
That's true.
Okay. But again, so not everything is about percentage, and not everything is about those watch time minutes. A lot of your YouTube audience is about, or your YouTube channel is about your audience. Make it easy for your audience to have that real engagement with you, which is why chapters are a great way and great signals for YouTube. If somebody saves a video, or they bookmark a video, or they come back and they jump between various sections, that tells YouTube that there's a very engaged member of the audience that wants this content. When you create another video to do with a similar topic, odds are much better that YouTube is going to recommend that video to that viewer who's going to want to watch it, because they were so invested in you, they were jumping around. It just makes sense. So I love what YouTube is doing, is exploring more of this stuff for us, so that we're able to create content around it, which to me is great. Rob, you brought up something when we're looking at retention about your last bit of your video, and then you very casually said maybe they're watching another video. Do you want to just explain a little bit better about not just saying goodbye at the end of your video?
So the general consensus is that viewers can sniff when the video is ended, even though there might be another minute or two of content. That might be some introduction of some music, which wasn't in the rest of the video. Or you start saying, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Again, that's another trigger point. So you want to try and continue the conversation with your audience throughout all of the video. And so that might be in the sense that you're still talking directly to the audience and some end screens come up next to you, but maybe you don't address them. Or you do the kind of opposite and say that if you want to learn more about what we've been talking about in this video, then check out the video over here. And yeah, obviously, this is a natural drop-off point. But the idea is that you want people to drop off the current video onto another one of your videos, or at least stay on YouTube, as opposed to abandoning your video / the platform entirely.
Yeah, so basically avoid the body language of, thanks for hanging out with us, it was really fun. Avoid all that, because that just naturally means you're done. Remember that for your viewer, the journey is still continuing. You as a creator who's making the video, you're done filming. Now you've done your editing, you're now done. But as a viewer, well, if you're so engaging that people are reaching 90% of your video, don't just leave them. Take them and take them to the next video. If you like this video about these Wi-Fi tips, I've got more videos right here about Wi-Fi. Go and check those out. Send them to your next video. Keep them on as long as possible. Anything else to add, guys, from the rest of the team before we move on to our next topic? Going once, twice? Oh, okay. Easy crowd today. So let's talk about data source. What is data source? Where do we find it? What are we looking for? How does that data source actually help us? Who wants to pick this one up first? Anybody? Okay, go.
I can say that data source is probably one of the most exciting things you can study, aside from real-time analytics, aside from click-through rate, which we will get to later. And the reason why I'm saying this is because depending on your size and depending on what type of audience you have gained, certain traffic sources will be more interesting to you than others. For example, if you're just starting out, probably one of the most viable traffic sources will be YouTube search, because guess what? If nobody has watched your video, YouTube will not recommend your video, right? However, YouTube will surface your video in search to some people. And if your video is performing well in search, then YouTube can take this video and promote it to other people, maybe on their home pages, in the suggested section, along other people's videos, etc., etc. So again, depending on your size, depending on the size of your channel, certain traffic sources are more interesting than others.
Okay, should we break this down a little bit more? We've now got external, we've got shorts, we've got suggested, we've got browse. Where do we find data source on our videos?
So yeah, there's a few different ways to look at this. So if you go to a specific video, like this one we've been looking at here, how to beat the YouTube algorithm, and you go to analytics and look at see more, that kind of unlocks all the things. But if you want to, depending on where you want me to go, there's, of course, we can click on engagement, the engagement tab, we can click on the audience tab. Guide
you can go into reach, and from there you can see the traffic source type. Yes. And if you click on see more, then I mean, this is a typical picture for a successful channel. Most of the views are coming from browse, and this is how it's supposed to be, right? Now, some channels, they have a very extensive library of content where one video flows into the next, let's say they have a successful series, then they will have a ton of suggested traffic on their channel. And typically, of course, if you are in the how-to niche, if you're just teaching people one-off things like how to fix your bike, right? Then yeah, for those channels, or you're teaching, let's say, tutorials like how to program in this specific computer language, then a lot of traffic will come from YouTube search, just because people are proactively looking for this. And now, of course, we have YouTube Shorts, which is great. It's like a shortcut basically to YouTube success right now, if you can get on Shorts, right? You have external. Let's not forget, external is not just Facebook. It's not just Reddit. It's not websites. External is also Google search, right? So, and then you have all these other things like playlists and etc. But I would say that the most important things are browse, suggested, YouTube search, external to some extent.
And it depends on your strategy. So if you are a small channel, we always kind of like to play the two sides up, because you're going to be in a different space, whether you're smaller or bigger. When you're small, you're looking for, you want to go after search. I argue that search is going to get you the most eyeballs in the shortest amount of time, because people are actively searching for something that you can create content for. YouTube likes to marry those up. Search will give you lots of eyeballs and lots of traffic. But if you really want to do that blowing up thing where a video gets an extraordinary amount of views, well, then you want to be in browse. And that is when YouTube recommends that particular video to your viewers and to new viewers on their home screen. And that is when people see an awesome thumbnail, an awesome title. They don't know you as a creator, but they're really captivated by your thumbnail and title, that they click. And then it's up to you to make sure that you're delivering content to keep them on and convert them into a subscriber. So don't discount search if you're small. Don't just aim for browse. Really start understanding your audience, what's their intention, and how you can marry that up. Rob, are you from the way that we're kind of growing the vidIQ channel? Have you got a specific strategy in mind, search versus browse, or do you really just know what the audience wants and just give it to them?
I think we, as an educational channel, we naturally gravitate towards search, although we have had experiences in the past where we do something a little zany, like the PewDiePie versus T series, occasionally looking at Mr. Beast, and those sort of transcend the search elements. But it's not ostensibly where we are as a channel. I mean, I would like to be more of a browse and suggested and recommended channel. And I think that's one of the challenges all of us face as to how to transition from being found through search into a relatable creator who you as a viewer get to know, as opposed to strictly the content that they make. Because, I mean, let's be honest, with vidIQ, we kind of cater towards a certain audience of perhaps maybe channels with less than 10,000 subscribers. Are the channels that have kind of grown beyond there, do they still find us useful? I think that's a question that's up for debate. And you know, through the analytics and through the comments, we know that a lot of our audience are channels of a certain size. So I think there is a certain challenge there. Another interesting analytic here as well to look at here, Dan, is if you just scroll down, is that once you go into the video level of the analytics, you can see the click-through rate for the different types of traffic source. And so then you can get a really good idea of just how successful your content is in certain areas. And so, well, we're doing quite well there in a playlist. I'm trying to look at the screen, but it's quite small. So playlists, I mean, there's not many views coming from there, but like search is obviously important for us, but we probably want to do better in suggested, and suggested is always a little low for us. So maybe that's telling me that perhaps our thumbnails do well in search, but then when it's as a smaller thumbnail, as a suggested video on the right-hand side or underneath a video on the mobile, maybe we need to tweak the thumbnails a little bit there. So we're getting really nuanced here. And this is where I talked a little earlier about the long-term analytics that you can look at and aim to improve on versus the here and now of real-time analytics. This is where this is something you'd look at over maybe 5 to 10 videos and say, I'm seeing a pattern here. I'm not getting enough click-through rate from suggested. So let's have a look at how my thumbnails compare against other videos in that area. But that's, as I say, that can take weeks, sometimes months to pay off.
But I think it's an important point that the stuff takes time, and it takes time for the data to settle. It takes time for YouTube to understand your content. It takes time for the audience to know you. It takes time for all of this thing to come together. There is no overnight success. Those are far and few in between. You know, you have to win a Mr. Beast contest and to get to 2 million subscribers in a couple of weeks. Those are far and few in between. And a lot of us see those and think, wow, that must be the ordinary. I have an amazing channel. I compare my content to their content. I do so much better. Why am I not blowing up? YouTube must hate me. It hates small channels. Turns out you've been on the internet for on YouTube for 2 months, 3 months. That's not a long time. You've got to understand the viewer and give it time for all these things to kick in, which is why we say, look at that traffic source. If you are going after the search traffic, well, then remember to label and to title your videos that will appeal to search. How, what, where, when, why. We do a whole training about this every Wednesday. I take you through exactly how to do that. You can come and join us next week. Wednesday, it's free, of course. But I take you through that because it's so important that if you're going after a certain type of traffic, don't try copy a Mr. Beast strategy when you don't have a Mr. Beast size audience. Just understand your channel and how it kind of relates to everything else in there. Before we move on to CTR and those click-through rates, anything else to add on here? Okay.
Well, I just pull up. Just Rob was talking briefly about comparing your thumbnails, comparing your click-through rates, and we do have a tool for that. So
really important to mention.
Yes. If you are on your channel page and you have the vidIQ tool installed, you can punch in a search term you would like to theoretically rank for, and then preview what your thumbnail is going to look like among everybody else who ranks for that search term. It doesn't tell you where you're going to go. It just tells you who you may be among. So if you're worried about your thumbnails not pulling people in, it's good to see what other people are doing.
I think that thumbnail looks pretty good, actually. I'm quite pleased with that.
But isn't that what it's all about? The thumbnail's mission is only one thing: to get somebody to stop the scroll and go, "Oh, what's that?" And you can see with Rob's thumbnail here, compared to the one above it and the one below it, it definitely stands out. And therefore, someone might stop and then read the title and decide, oh, I want to watch that, and then click. So it's never thumbnail or title. It's thumbnail and title. So the vidIQ thumbnail preview tool was built exactly that. And you can see what it looks like on mobile, and you can see what it looks like on a tablet, and you can see what it looks like on the search screen, but also what it looks like on the home screen. And that is where those browse traffic comes from. So you can see how the 2021 in blue with a big red logo behind really pops out against some of the other ones, which are maybe a little bit busier, etc. Okay, good call there, Mr. Dan, for bringing that up.
Thanks.
Now we're talking about thumbnails. Can we finally talk about CTR? Do you think that's important?
Okay.
All right, bring that up, and let's Alexi lead this one. Alexi, CTR. Why do we care about click-through rates? What is it? Where do we find it? Talk to us about
that. Dan, can you pull up the screen from the analytics?
Yeah,
So
sorry.
We're working on it. All right, so it's in the all right, impressions. Well, there it is. Really, like it's also under reach, under the reach tab, and then I guess the second column from the left for those who are listening and not watching. So the thing about CTR, this is how you have to think about it. And guys, feel free to correct me here. This is basically your budget that you have to spend with YouTube. If you start with 5%, there's not much to spend. However, if you start with 10%, there's 5% to spend. If you start with 15, there's 10% to spend. With 20, 15% to spend, right? So what happens typically is when you release a video to your core audience, to your super fans, people who are super excited about your video content in general, the CTR will be very high, right? Sometimes even 30%. However, after this positive reaction, YouTube now will try to figure out, so who do we show this video next? right? And so they will try different audiences, and these people will have different reactions to your video. Some will not connect with the title for different reasons. Others will scroll through because of the thumbnail, right? And so automatically the CTR will drop, let's say from 20% to 15%. Now 15% is still very good, but this is what I'm talking about when I say CTR is your budget that you have to spend. If you start very high, you have quite a bit of headroom to lose until you drop into the 5% region or 3% region. However, if you already start very low with 6% with your core super fans, I guess what? The algorithm probably will not surface your video all that much to other people because you're already kind of hovering above this minimum percentage.
Kind of making me feel a bit inferior there.
Free, yeah.
My percentage.
That's the thing, right? This thing, 5.4%, is actually a good metric. I mean, this is overall. This is not per video.
Yeah.
Right. So this is, guys, everyone in the chat who thinks that, wow, wait a second, 5% is low. No, the 5% is great overall, right? I mean, literally, you are getting 14 million impressions. Of course, when 14 million people will see a video, your impression rate, your CTR will go down to 5%. That's normal, right? So I think that in this case, everyone should understand that this is actually, I mean, way above average numbers when you get 14 million impressions.
Dan, could you do me a favor? Could you try and change the time period to 2019? Let's see if this still works here. So if you go back to like the beginning of January in 2019, just mouse over it. So the click-through rate there was about 4%. And then like if you just go to the end, not one of the spikes, but just like one of the general end points. So yeah, I mean, we were having a quite successful end to the 2019, whereby we were having a couple of viral hits. And so we managed to increase the click-through rate, I think on average from like 4.5% to between 8 and 10%. And although that doesn't sound like too much, it was effectively a 100% increase in click-through rate. And unfortunately, you can't go back to 2018, but our click-through rate then, I think, was something in the region of 2.5%. It was really, really bad. And so even improving it from 2.5% to 4% had a massive impact. And so I just want to emphasize the point to people that YouTube may give you this this very vague number of click-through rate is between 2 and 10%. That doesn't mean that you have to immediately aim for 10%. You have to do this incrementally. And as Alexis says, sometimes your click-through rate may go from 2% to, let's say, it goes to 8%. But then YouTube identifies that these videos have been clicked on, so let's share it with more people. And then the click-through rate maybe then goes back down to 6%. But that's a good thing because YouTube is probably sharing it between millions of people, whereas before it was sharing it between tens of thousands of people. So click-through rate will fluctuate as well. And ultimately, you just want to try and incrementally move the curve up a couple of percentage points over months, sometimes years in our case.
I also want to clarify that when I was saying about this budget to spend, I was talking about individual videos. So right now we're looking at the channel as a whole. This is a whole different story. Now we take a look, for example, at some of the videos like this one, for example, right? We'll see in the CTR stats how the percentage, there you go, you have a spike after the first day, right? How many percent? 5.8. Well, in this example, I guess not ideal. Right? If I were, let's say, auditing this channel, this is what I would say. But I'm sure because there is this increase overall over those 2 years or 3 years, where we went from 2% on the channel overall to 6.9 on the channel overall. Like there, we have another spike for this one. Right now it's at full, but it started. Then can you scroll back to the very start of this graph with the 8%? Now we're talking, right? So again, starting with 8 and dropping to 4 is much better than starting with 5 and dropping to 4, right? So the higher you can start in those initial days, hours, the better for your video, ultimately.
Quick question for the audience here. Why do you think this video has a higher click-through rate initially than the other one? So the one we looked at just then was how to beat the YouTube algorithm in 2021. And this video is about the monetization changes. Why do you think there's a difference there?
Can I guess?
Or Dan, yeah, one of you two chime in.
Big green dollar sign.
Catching.
And it was a big trending news story, so it was very current. Yeah. Whereas the how to beat an algorithm one is more geared towards maybe evergreen content. I'm hoping like this one will probably die off in the next 2 or 3 months. and I accept that. Whereas the algorithm one, fingers crossed, I'm hoping is going to be something that brings in traction for a longer period of time. So the click-through rate may be initially lower, but hopefully it appears in search for longer because it's a more, generic long-term search. That's my that's a personal opinion. That's my mindset in the difference between the two videos.
And again, people keep asking, what's like, I've got 10%, is that good? I've got 5%, is that good? You cannot compare your channel to other people's channels. That every channel has got its own data. What you should be doing is comparing your percentage CTR to your own channel average. So what I like to do, take the last 10 videos, do the average, what's the CTR of the last 10 videos after 7 days, and then say, okay, well, that's my baseline. My videos need to be equal or above that baseline. And if they're below that baseline, if my next video is below that baseline, then I start changing out the thumbnail. A lot of people make the mistake of making too many changes. Like they panic. They see the CTR and they go, oh no. And then they quickly swap out a thumbnail and that doesn't do better. And they swap it out again. And then it does a little bit of a spike, but is that because of the new thumbnail or the second thumbnail? And then they change it back to the original. That's just too much. Sometimes you just got to let this thing ride. As Rob said, some things are going to hit it out of the gate. Some things not evergreen. Some things are right now. YouTube does change of terms of service. Very valid today. Everybody is upset and wants to know about that. YouTube launches shorts. Everybody wants to know what that is all about. We have an entire shorts playlist just to do with this because it's a hot topic. The same thing with YouTube Studio when it came out. People want to know how to use it. Right now, YouTube Studio, there is no other option. So is it still a hot trending topic? Probably not as when it first launched. So you got to understand that there is a difference between evergreen, which does take its sweet time. But the nice thing about evergreen is that that revenue, if you're a monetized channel, that just comes in again and again, months after months after month, as opposed to a trending topic, which is super hot right now, and then a day or two later, pretty much kind of dies out. Somebody jumping in? Yeah, Alexi.
Yeah, I think something I want to pitch in on the idea of evergreen, what Rob was referring to, because that's a valid point. Like, you might think that, wait a second, this video is getting 5%, people aren't watching. But the thing about evergreen content is that you're basically one video away from blowing up. And what does this mean? Basically, you don't exist in isolation on YouTube. Like, there are tons of other people who are making videos in the same niche, in the same space. And so let's say someone makes a viral video and all of a sudden YouTube algorithm is in everybody's mind, right? What will happen? People will look for this type of content. And guess what? You're one of those people who has already a video out there. The video might be 3 months old, but people still want to know, right? So this is how, despite having, let's say, a lower 5% CTR right now, you can still basically blow up and get millions of views just on the basis of, hey, other people might pick up on this topic and it can become a trend.
We've got an example of that, actually, haven't we? Dan, can go back to the analytics again, and can you do a quick search for YouTube down in the search? This was a video I made, so it's the third one down. Go to the analytics of that one. This is a video I made when YouTube actually went down, like in 2018, and I made a bit of a story about it. But then every time YouTube goes down now in the future, this video gets views. Like you can see those spikes, and the spikes have nothing to do with the current reason of YouTube going down. And that's purely by chance. I didn't realize that was going to happen. And it's not the best example and most useful, but like what we're talking about here is potentially Thanksgiving, the tentpole events where perhaps there is going to be that potential spike. And if your video sort of hits the algorithm in the right way and you get recommended amongst something else that's trending, then that could be really useful for you.
Yeah, but it does prove the point. It was a video that you did about a certain instant in time when YouTube went down. You didn't plan on YouTube being down so many times in the years subsequent to that. But every time YouTube goes down, what do people do? They naturally go and search. And because you had one of the first videos, not to do with this particular time, but way back when, naturally it just surfaces right to the top. So never, ever, ever discount evergreen content. And a lot of people do ask us, should I unlist or delete old videos that are not performing? And our advice is typically no, unless it's so bad or so against what you're doing on your content on your channel now. Leave those videos, because you just never, ever know. I can speak from personal experience to that something happened 4 months after my video went out, and that took off. If I had unlisted that video because it didn't perform well right out the gate, I would never have had that traffic spike. So trust in the content that you're making, make it for your viewer, and let YouTube just do its thing. I really wish people will stop thinking that YouTube hates small creators. It's just a really, really bad mindset to begin. So speaking of old videos, let's talk about the ideas. Where do we get ideas to generate new content from on our videos? So a source that I like to use is, again, go back into YouTube Studio, go back into Analytics, which Dan may or may not do on the screen, depends, and go, I'm trying to look at the small little screen on the side. So go into Analytics and go into Overview, the first little tab, not the audience, the Overview, yes. And then you see on the right-hand side, it says 28 days. I leave it at 28 days. Scroll down to the bottom of this particular screen. Scroll, 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 scroll. Right. And it says my top videos that are currently getting me views. So in other words, it's like the real-time views, but this time I'm not looking micro in the last 60 minutes or 48 hours. I'm looking at this over the last 28 days. So what this report tells me, it says on my channel right now, these are the videos that people are interested in. What am I looking for? I'm looking for an older videos, because it's all got the date. So for example, in this particular one, there is one from February 17th, 2020. How to get your first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube 2021. Right?
I've cheated there and changed the title.
Oh, but that would be good. That would be the idea, because currently people are interested in how to get your first 1,000 subscribers. So what Rob did was say, if this video is still getting me views today, let me play to the search. Let me update my title. Whether he did that intentionally or not, I'm not sure, but he sounds like he pretended like he didn't. But this is a good traffic source, because videos that are old on your channel still getting you views, I asked myself the question, can I do an update? Is there more information? So when I see those kind of videos, it motivates me to create a version 2 of that particular videos. Generate some ideas. If people are interested in that right now, and that video is old, absolutely, I'm going to make another video on that.
Is that a dirty tactic, one rung below clickbait, then just changing the year of something?
I'm not saying yes or no, because we're live at the moment.
I think it is, but I would highly recommend it to everybody.
If it works, why not? But think about. But again, Rob, the idea is that you know the audience, and you know that right now it's the end of the year. People are gearing up for 2021, and what do people want in 2021? Same thing they've wanted in 2020 and 2019 and 2018. They want to get 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours of watch time. Everybody wants that, right?
Same thing they do every night, Pinky.
Take over the world. So it makes sense to update that. Now, if there was new information and you could make an updated video for 2021, which I'm not saying you may or may not be working on, but if you got new information, this is a great indicator that that is still a topic people want to search. Now, remember, we're very niche. We're very, very focused on exactly what we do. That's why those topics are going to come back time and time again. I'm saying to everyone that's listening and watching, look at your channel. What is your 28 days like? What are people still watching on your channel? What could you make a version 2 on? And then the ninja tip is to go to the 28 days, change it to 90 days. And now you're seeing over the last 3 months, the last 90 days, what kind of videos are still getting views? Are they the same videos? Are there new videos in that ranking? Are there older videos that you can make an update on? That's golden information that people are interested in that topic on your own channel. Give them more on those topics. That's my little soapbox speech. Dan, jump in here.
I will say that a good example. So Rob changed the title of this one, and all this information, he did that because he feels like this is all still relevant in 2021. I could do the same for the How to Start a Gaming channel, but there's actually so much new information I'd like to share. I feel differently about some of the opinions I had. I want to expand on them. We have shorts now, and gamers have been benefiting from those. I want to talk about that. So I'm planning a 2021 version of How to Start a Gaming channel. And that's, you want to, it's case by case. Maybe not every video, you need to go back and update it every single year, but maybe there are some where you're like, actually, YouTube's updated a lot, or actually, I'm doing this new thing and it's working really well. I want to share it.
Yeah,
That's all false, by the way. This is just a vanity project from Dan because it got 1 million views and he just wants more views.
Well, I do want more views.
So everyone go and watch that video now. But the other thing to do on that video is I would go back to that particular video, go look at the comments. Are the comments still active? Are they still relevant? Are people still commenting today on a video that was made in January 6, 2020, or about basically a full year ago almost? Are people still engaging with that video? What does that tell you? That that topic is still relevant. Therefore, good indicator to make more videos. We've also seen, and I've seen it on my channel, where an old video and it's still doing well. If you do a follow-up video, it's almost like that first video is parting that sea on YouTube, and that second video just naturally just does better. And especially when you link those two videos together, updated version, and you go back and forth between those videos with those cards that we spoke about earlier, pinning a comment and then updating the end screen. So those were my final thoughts on the analytics that you guys should be watching. Let's open up to the team, and then we're going to go to questions from the people in the chat. Final thoughts on analytics, people.
I'll go first because there is one analytic that I want to add that isn't yet available, but I'm excited to look at. It's actually in that video about how to beat the YouTube algorithm, which isn't necessarily about how to beat the YouTube algorithm. It's about what you should be concentrating on, which is building your audience. And YouTube have been hinting at this new analytic, which is going to show you new viewers to your channel, and then which of those viewers return to your channel. And this idea of loyalty really interests me because I think it leads into something that's been mentioned sort of in the YouTube universe for, I think, the last 2 years now, is quality watch time, whereby YouTube isn't just looking at the raw number of minutes somebody watches a video. They're also looking at how satisfied they were. And that may be through what Alexa said in terms of engagement, clicking on time chapters or posting comments, thumbs up and that type of thing. But I think whether or not a person subscribes to a channel, if they return to their content and watch more, that looks to be a really valuable analytic. It's not yet available. YouTube have hinted at it in their Creator Insider content, so I recommend subscribing to them and watching their videos. So yeah, keep an eye on that. I think it's going to be called return viewers as the metric. So that would be my final thoughts. But just looking forward to the future of analytics.
Teasing us out with something that he has seen. Thank you for that. Right, Alexi, final thoughts on looking at your analytics.
Yeah, I think I like the idea that Rob mentioned about viewer satisfaction, because that's the thing, right? When we think about CTR, for example, we think about titles, we think about thumbnails, but the easiest way to make the person click on your video is to make a good video. First of all, make them happy with this video, so that the next video is basically highly awaited, right? So if I see a video on my homepage from a creator that I know, wow, this guy made a video last week and it was so amazing, I don't care about the thumbnail and title. I'm just going to click on it because I enjoyed the last one, right? So this is why satisfaction is also basically a shortcut to high CTR, just because you make people happy.
Make content people want to watch. Funny how that works. All right, Dan, final thoughts on analytics before we go to questions.
Yeah, there is a section on under analytics. If you were to go there and then click on the audience tab, there's something that YouTube added a while ago, and vidIQ is a similar tool, but I'm going to show the YouTube one here, where there are other videos your audience watched. And at least for my channel, I felt like this is a fantastic snapshot of if my channel's on the right track. I'm telling gaming channels all the time, you got to niche down, play one game. And one of the things I've noticed is, because my channel, I went dormant for a bit. I played a lot of different games. It was a fun hobby, blah, blah, blah. now that I've niched down to one game, it took a little bit, but this slowly changed from recommending, or not recommending, but showing me different videos my audience watched from all these different games to it getting more and more and more niched. It was a good indicator of like, wow, I'm doing something right here, because the videos that my audience are watching, I'm now attracting the people I want to attract. I'm trying to attract Minecraft viewers. And before I was attracting people from all over the gaming sphere. And now more and more, I'm getting an idea of who my actual competition is and the types of videos that my audience is currently engaged with in that community. So it's important to niche down, and all that stuff, and then go into this and see, are you on track? Is the audience you're trying to attract watching the same type of content when they're elsewhere on YouTube?
Love it. I think it's important, since you still got your screen open up the channel audit tool from vidIQ.
Absolutely.
That is actually one of the big things we're really pushing for, because a lot of us at vidIQ are creators, and we didn't want to go digging around a million different places to understand what's working and what isn't working on our channels. So the channel audit tool does exactly that. You know, the channel audit that we do every Tuesday, these guys do it, and they rip apart channels. They help channels every week. You can do this yourself. You push a button and it tells you, look, these are the videos getting retention. These are the videos getting watch time. These are the videos getting you views, giving you subscribers. And then equally, these are the videos who are coming from non-owned channels. These are the ones, in other words, audience that came from those videos are interested in your topic. Go and look at those channels. Really understand what those channels are about. Could you do other videos that similar audiences will actually come from them to your videos? And then as you scroll further down in this channel audit tool, there's also things like search terms. What do people use to search and find your videos? How awesome is that, to understand that we can see shorts is really up there. People are really interested in shorts. Rob makes more shorts video. Dan makes more shorts videos. How to download YouTube video, #1 search phrase. We know that that's what people are interested in. If YouTube ever makes a change to how to do that, you can bet anything that we're going to have an update video on that. And then again, scrolling further down, content that could use work is the stuff that our audience didn't really engage with that. Well, why not? Bad thumbnail, bad title, wrong time of year. I want to understand more and more. So the channel audit tool is a snapshot that anybody can have access to as part of the free vidIQ tool as well. Go and click that, and then you can see on your own channel what's working for you and what isn't working for you. And then you're able to really understand your audience and make better content that connects with your viewer. At the end of the day, that is what it's about, making amazing content for an audience that wants to love you. So let's help you do that. So for everybody that's been hanging out here in our live chat, that was the end of the podcast bit. So now we can actually go and take your question. If you have a question for us, let's stick on topic. Let's stick about the various tools we just spoke about, or anything we can help you with the analytics side of it. Start your question with @vidIQ. That would really help us to pick out some questions. And then let's throw them up on the screen and see who wants to ask what and where. I need more coffee. Somebody send coffee. Quick stat. I did see a lot of questions when we were talking about CTR, by the way, about people saying, is this good or isn't this good? I work with one of the creators, and they complain when their CTR drops below 69%, not just a random number, 69. And anything that drops below that, there's a team meeting about why this video did so badly. I don't know about you guys. I have never seen those figures, not even close. So every channel is different. You just got to understand your own channel and see how that goes. But remember what Alexi said about the impressions is that the more your video is sent out there, the more people that just don't know you, but perhaps YouTube is showing you those videos, well, then they may not click on it and your CTR goes down. But which one would you rather have? A 100% CTR out of 100 people, or maybe 5% CTR out of 1 million people? Well, we all know the answer to that. Whew. Okay. Seriously, definitely need more caffeine. Have we got any questions yet, Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Go for it.
How long do you let a title run before changing to try for better stats?
Who wants to take that?
I was hoping Alexi might have a crack at this one, since he talked previously about your subscriber interest versus broader audience interest.
Right. I mean, I would kind of like take what Liron just said about, let's say you have 69% CTR or 68, and when it drops, you freak out. To be honest, I'm one of those people too, right? I'm actually proactively monitoring my CTR when I upload a video. And if I see that typically, let's say I get 20% or 15%, and now I'm getting 8%, guess what? I'm going to change the title very fast, right? Or maybe the thumbnail. So yeah, there are no hard and fast rules. It's, again, it depends on your channel, depends on your typical performance. If you are underperforming, go for it, change it as fast as you can. I know some people think don't be that trigger happy, and this is just a difference. Some people like evergreen content, other people like trending content. Some people are trigger happy like me and change on a whim. Other people like Liron are just more chilled out and say, hey, I'm gonna let this, yeah, exactly. So.
Just one thing on that of changing titles, I always go back to old videos, which I think could have been performing better, or maybe I went after a browse strategy. Maybe I'll change the title to a how-to strategy or to a search strategy. So instead of being like this blank, like this power statement, I maybe will rephrase that title as a question, trying to get another stab at that algorithm. Maybe it will pick it up for a different audience. So just throwing that out there for what it's worth.
My strategy, just to go into how it's different for everybody, is if I leave a video up, and like I said, I don't have a ton of time. It's a fun hobby for me. I got a lot of work to do, so I put it up, and maybe a day or two later I check on it, and I try to learn from that, and I remember that for my next video. If this video didn't perform super well, and I don't really feel bothered to go back and change the title, change it. Oh gosh, no, just next time. Next time I'll make a better thumbnail. I'll do a better title. Do a little more research. That's how I treat my personal channel.
Wow, that's more chill than me, dude.
Well, I'll do what we can. We have a super chat here, which, by the way, you don't need a super chat to get your question answered. Just want to point that out. Recently, my channel got monetized. Senior YouTubers are asking me to keep skippable ads off. It increases CTR. What does this mean? Is high CTR bad?
What?
I was hoping someone would take that, because that's how.
So I think there's some confusion here for the creator, in that a skippable ad is not going to impact CTR, is it? Because you don't know if you're going to see an ad or not when you click on the thumbnail.
Right.
As far as I'm aware, the CTR is not going to be impacted if, let's say, somebody clicks on the thumbnail and then abandons the video before the end of the adverts. I don't think that would change the CTR. But ultimately, you reach a point on YouTube where you need to start making it sustainable for yourself. So are you going to remove adverts from your videos because you want a bit more click-through rate, or because you want to earn a little bit of revenue? And it's the same question as, should you take people off of YouTube to sell your products and services, as opposed to keeping them on YouTube because it's going to mean your audience retention, view duration is going to be higher. And I think for most creators, they're going to go down the route of trying to earn some income from the work that you do on YouTube. So for me, I would be adding the skippable ads if I was monetizing my content. I mean, Liron, you're probably most qualified to answer this question, since you do have a monetized channel yourself.
Yeah, I think maybe there may be a confusion between CTR and skippable versus non-skippable ads. That may be a thing there. I think if somebody has taken, sorry, I'm trying to read it on the screen. If somebody has taken the time, that you think of the process, your thumbnail came up, your CTR has already been registered, an impression has been made. Now, if somebody's going to click on that thumbnail or not click on that thumbnail, that will go towards your CTR percentage. Your ads have nothing to do with this at this stage. Once they click on your thumbnail, your retention and your watch time doesn't kick in until your video starts. It's got nothing to do with that either. So the only thing I can think of that people are telling you here is maybe take off skippable ads and only have unskippable ads. But even then, that's a bit of a stretch. As you've asked the question right now, I'm with Rob. I'm not sure that CTR, impressions, and ads are all bundled into the same statement. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen that at all like this. And by the way, I want to make money off my channel. So like, I hear you, maybe I'm gonna get less percentage and less CTR, but if I'm gonna get a couple of ads in and YouTube's gonna pay me more money, and it doesn't hurt my audience, I'm okay with that. Right.
Yeah, thank you for the super chat, by the way. Let's see, I'm trying to look for the next question. This is kind of intriguing, if I'm reading it right. Let's see. When is the right time to stop focusing on SEO and go for an interesting title that isn't searched for much? I find it hard to come up with interesting titles that are searchable. Thanks.
That is an interesting question, actually, because I'm wrestling with this a little bit. I mean, I've been conditioned to do SEO, and I'm more and more tempted to just completely abandon any notion of search intent and do something which has emotional pull. And I haven't quite got there yet, I must admit. I think a lot of the larger YouTubers will say search and SEO doesn't mean anything. But you maybe have to look at their content and see what type of audience they're appealing to. And for me, I'm finding it so difficult to move away from the idea of the people asking questions that we're trying to answer are how to get more views and how to get more subscribers. And those are going to be eternal questions. So, I mean, we were looking at our analytics, and that video that's like how to get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube in 2021 has 750,000 views. What if the title was, you need to do this now? And then it has a thumbnail that has 1,000 subscribers in 40 days. Would that be more clickable? Possibly. Would it be the top of the search terms? I don't know. So,
but then do you care?
There's not an answer there. That's what I'm wrestling with in my head right now.
Yeah, because then do you really care if it's not top of the search, but it's getting you 1 million views because it's now being browsed, it's now being offered on the home screen, then your search is no longer important. And that's what I mean about moving away from search to a browse strategy. But I will say it definitely depends on your channel size. Like Mr. Beast, Casey Neistat, Peter McKinnon, they could launch a video tomorrow with a semicolon as their title and no thumbnail and still get 1 million views because people are there for them. vidIQ, we're at the level where people know what to expect from this channel. So Rob, I argued that you could get away with it because your content on this channel has always been to help people, guide them, and get them to that next level. So if you must do this now, I think is absolutely clickable. For the majority of people, my kind of 2 cents versus SEO versus the emotion bit, you still need to have a clickable word, is what we're calling it. Like one word that's in there that is crossed over from search to browse. One word that still ties your video in together, that tells the audience what this video is about. I mean, I'm going to use my phone as a tech example. It's the Google Pixel 5. By the way, not sponsored, but this is the Google Pixel 5. Now, I could say 10 things I like about the Google Pixel 5, or I could say how to have the best camera settings on the Google Pixel 5. Both are different, but Pixel 5 is still in there. It's still that key phrase that really binds those two audiences together. So there is some crossover between purely a Mr. Beast style, I gave away an island, versus a channel that's a how-to channel and not an entertainment channel. Just kind of my view on that.
Alexis, surely you've got something to add to this.
I mean, to this specific creator, I would say that make this switch as soon as possible. But also you have to understand like how many people are actually actively watching your content. If those people are, let's say, at least 1,000 people, go for it. Like make a daring title. When I'm auditing channels or speaking to some coaching clients, I'm always promoting the idea of making the title both searchable just in case, but also to have an emotional hook, right? And so again, this second part of the question, I find it hard to come up with interesting titles that are searchable. I would say that leverage some of your competitors' titles. Like just literally, if you have the vidIQ tool, you will have the competitors in there. And if you do a little bit of research, you will find channels that are very closely related to your niche. You will see what type of content they're creating, what videos they are doing, and how the thumbnails look and what titles they use, right? Just take some hooks from there. Like if you see a lot of times they use versus, make a video that has this versus angle. If you see that people use an honest review, for example, if you see this honest review, use it as a hook, right? If you see something like my opinion, no BS, this no BS as a hook, use it as an emotional hook, right? Just track your competitors, learn from them, and make this switch as soon as possible would be my recommendation.
All right.
Yeah. We see, I'm going to look for another question while I do this, but we see a lot of very new gaming channels in channel audits that love to almost copy, I'm not saying copy the titles, but copy the titling style of the biggest YouTubers they could possibly find. And that's not what Alexei's talking about. He's talking about taking one of those words, one of those emotional words, but also adding it to your very specific Minecraft video and trying to combine the two. And I think that is a fantastic way to look at it. Let's see. Robbie, finding anything?
Sorry, I was just looking at that person's channel.
Oh,
got distracted. You're making some good thumbnails, by the way, on your channel. Very good. I think it has has potential, but that would be for a channel audit. To go into more detail there.
I did see a comment, which is interesting. It says Rob should grow a Santa Claus beard for December. Just
well.
Better get to work.
It's always kind of there.
Let's see. Make sure we keep the questions related to the topic at hand. That would help.
We've only got a couple of more minutes left, so maybe let's do 1 or 2 questions.
If a video makes less money, is it true that it's less promoted? Like if a video got demonetized, will it be recommended to less people?
All right. So if a video gets demonetized, then yes, it will likely get recommended to less people because that you're treading on community guidelines there as well as ad-friendly guidelines. So that could restrict your content, but that's not necessarily linked directly to the monetization. Because a video that has no monetization on it whatsoever and hits those community guidelines or what is it? Not the age restrictions. It may hit that flag as well. The problem with this always has been is that YouTube doesn't tell you this directly. It doesn't put a flag on the video. Well, it does when it's got ad restrictions. But if it's not monetized, then it doesn't necessarily tell you. So I think it's very important here to try and not connect directly monetization versus discovery. You're trying to connect discovery versus YouTube's guidelines and whether it's infringing on them. But Liron, Dan, Alexei, if you want to add an alternative thought there, please do.
I think the other part of the question is that essentially asking, are monetized content going to be promoted more by YouTube versus non-monetized content? So you covered the second bit about if it's got demonetized, it's got to be suppressed because YouTube doesn't want the stuff. Something's wrong with that. One thing we've always seen and we've been told and we have seen that there are 2 separate algorithms that within YouTube, there are lots of algorithms. The search and discovery algorithm is not the same as the advertising algorithm. So we've been told that time and time again that a video that doesn't run ads doesn't automatically have less of an opportunity than a video that does run ads. Bearing in mind, YouTube has just changed their term of service that they're going to start running ads on even non-monetized channels. So if you are a cynic and you think that YouTube has been saying this for a while, but they still promote monetized content over non-monetized content, well, with the new terms of service, you should be seeing a big spike in your traffic, I suppose. But to answer the question directly, just because your video doesn't have ads doesn't mean YouTube is going to promote it less over somebody who does.
I would say, as an example, vidIQ has not monetized a single view on our channel. So people always laugh at our ad revenue. That's because we make a couple of dollars on some super chats. And we are arguably one of the largest YouTube growth channels on YouTube, and we haven't monetized any of our content.
Mhm.
Could we have got more views? Maybe, but I don't think so.
All right, should we do the final questions?
Yes, and I was looking around. I keep coming back to this one because I'm trying to find relevant ones here. So this one is: I took a week break after the new Spider-Man game came out.
Priorities there. Finish a video game instead of making YouTube videos.
Well, they want to complete the game so they can provide post-game content for their audience, but their views have declined. So I can only assume that you were perhaps covering the game for a bit in the beginning stages, and then said, "All right, I got to beat it really quick so I can get to the end game content." And now no one's interested. I just want to jump on it real quick and say that Spider-Man was really, really popular when it first came out, like any big release. And that would have happened, I think, no matter who you were, the views would have gone away. I'd be curious to hear everyone's thoughts. But you took a break from making videos. That probably hindered your success a little bit. But the fact that everyone's on to the next thing now is also going to just naturally have those, search terms decline.
I think, Dan, you taught me this, that certain games are just evergreen games. Minecraft is an example. I mean,
Right.
Yes, the game is, 10 years old? And if you're going to create a new Minecraft channel, boy, you better bring something fresh to the table because it's just been done already.
Or do YouTube shorts, because
Or-
every single popular short right now is a Minecraft video.
Big-
Even on our channel, our short channel. So that's my advice. If anybody wants
big tip.
the big tip right now is forget everything we've just told you for the last hour and a half. Start a shorts channel and just do Minecraft content. I swear you will get tens of thousands of subscribers in no time.
And Rob, have you got a playlist on the vidIQ channel just to do with shorts if people want to learn all about it?
Yes, I do. Go look at it. And
Go look
hopefully, I want to do there is a channel that went from under 50 subscribers at the beginning of July and has just hit 100,000 subscribers. And they've done nothing but Minecraft shorts over the last 4 months. I'm hoping to do a video on it, but I need to get in touch with the person.
Well,
And you can tell I'm a bit bitter about it because people are putting 10-second Minecraft videos on YouTube and getting loads of views, and it's really annoying me.
I brought us one for the vidIQ Shorts channel. Seemed to go over well.
Yeah, the Baby Yoda one. Thanks, Dan. It's just what I needed in my life.
Everyone
Yeah.
needs a little Baby Yoda in their lives. And no, I don't care that they revealed his real name.
it's irrelevant.
It's too late.
Should we go
I'm just
back
going to find...
All right, have we gone?
You do one more question. I'm going to find the link to the YouTube Shorts playlist so I can share that in the chat.
We did get a super chat. Let's see here. If I do Google ads and people watch my videos with ads on them, do those views get monetized? How to get organic views?
So you're using Google Ads
To advertise that video.
to advertise that video, which then might have other ads on it to monetize them. I think I can't get my head around the business idea of that.
I'm going to say probably don't use Google ads to advertise your videos. If you want to advertise a product or service or something, that's what it's there for. Getting organic views starts with not buying AdSense or Google Ads views. Alexi, you want to weigh in?
I mean, I'm with you with the 100%. Just organic views is the opposite of paid views. So how to get organic views is the question, I guess, here. I mean, rewatch this whole thing and rewatch some of the tutorials we do on our channel. Like, this is a common question, and there are tips out there. I mean, I think we've covered that pretty in depth today and before.
Now, just to play devil's advocate for 20 seconds, some people have said that if they're going after a particular search term, they have put Google Ads on their videos to try and get them to the top of that search term and then remove the Google Ads. I don't know personally if that works, and I would never do that myself because I always believe that people want to watch your content because they want to watch it, not because there's been an advert thrust in front of their face. But if you want to do more research on that, you can certainly do so.
One thing I will just kind of throw in about working with ads versus not working with ads is that your data is all wrong. So you're trying to make data-driven decisions about your channel, but now you've got all this traffic that has come in from ads, and now that muddles the water. And now you're not sure whether you should focus on one video because it did really well, or did that video do really well because you threw money behind it into promoting it more. Also, retention and watch time are heavily impacted by ads. So somebody might click to that video because they saw your ad for it. They watch it for a couple of seconds, they go, nah, and they go back to what they were watching originally. And that's going to have a devastating effect on that retention watch time. So with channels like this, I always say, take a break, accept that you're going to get less views because you're not buying them anymore. And by the way, buying views, this is the right way to, if you're going to do views, this is not a bots and all that dodgy stuff. This is YouTube's own product. That's perfectly fine. But you just got to understand that if you're a brand, trying to get your product out there is very different if you're trying to build an audience and build a community. So take a break for a while, accept that you're going to have less views, get your data all cleaned up for a couple of weeks, and now you have a real understanding of what your audience really cares about versus what they don't care or they just came because of an ad. And that's now you can start rebuilding the foundations of your website, of your
think of it from this point of view. Why did you ask that question to us on this live stream? And I hope the answer is because you didn't see a vidIQ ad. You were searching for things on YouTube and you wanted answers to YouTube growth questions, and you found vidIQ and you got value from that education. And now you're asking us, as opposed to you were watching something else, maybe about Minecraft, God forbid, and a vidIQ advert was at the beginning of it. Would that convince you to come to us and ask us that question? I'm not so sure. So that's kind of the organic versus the paid aspect of that question.
And on that Minecraft note, we have Dan's Santa Claus, as Daniel says in the chat, going and attacking him. And he's producing this whole show. So we better go before we get disconnected. So thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us for another live vidIQ Tube Talk live fireside chat, mix and match stuff that happens here. Hope you got lots of value. This will be available on the channel. It will be available on Tube Talk as well. Come and hit us up on Discord. There'll be a link in the description. Come and have these kind of conversations with us all the time. We're there. Dan and I had a hectic session this morning about Discord, which was super powerful. Dan knows his stuff. And we're there for you because we want to help you in all aspects of your YouTube journey. So we have our videos on our channel. We have a blog, Facebook group, Discord, and our podcast. And this week's podcast, I've got to do a little plug there. This lady started her channel in 2020 from 0 subscribers to making over $100,000. In this year, when everything was burning up, she was riding it. Go and listen to that episode. She shares exactly what she did. Maybe some value for you guys to get out of that. Find Tube Talk in your favorite podcast applications. And on that note, we're going to make Santa Rob wave awkwardly goodbye as you hit the thumbs up button on your way out as you leave this chat. I appreciate you guys hanging out, and we'll catch you next time.
Well, I just want to say something here as we're going out here. Leron just did a massive outro there, and you probably all abandoned like a minute ago. And I'm looking at the live stream analytics, and they prove that. I mean, a lot of you abandoned that. Like, some of you didn't even know that we've got the Discord and all of that other stuff. So, yeah, we're just proving our own point there. Well done, Leron. If you're going to put me on screen for a minute and wave, and now I'm going to give you some retribution there. Can we stop now, please, on my arms?
Santa Claus. Get rid of the screen.
Bar analytics humbug. All right, I'll press it. I'm in control here. I can.